So this particular video is going to really focus in on the dual layer referendum. This is an idea that I came to solve the conundrum that I face personally between kind of more free systems and more orderly systems. So the free component of a federated panarchy really is the panarchic component of it. So to me, this can appease a lot of the people that feel stifled by panarchy systems. And I think there are a lot of them out there in the world, but not everybody is feeling that way. And a panarchy really, to me, is one of the most dynamic systems possible for freedom. And that's a beautiful thing, in my opinion, that it allows for almost, in my opinion, maximal freedom, even beyond something like an anarchic system, because an anarchic system imposes anarchy, and only anarchy, even though it's really free to do what you want. And you could maybe set up a subsystem in the anarchic system, but then you're just doing a panarchy. So in my opinion, a panarchic system is essentially maximally free. In my opinion, I might not be right about that, but that's my thoughts on it. But here's the thing: I do want some order. I like order to a degree, and that's maybe my blue system in my traditional component of my being. I think that's helpful, and I think that stabilizes stuff, and that's where the federated component comes in. But the federated component really is not a traditional federation, as I've noted. It allows for bottom-up systems to create the federation, which is very unlike a traditional federation, which is very top-down and exclusively so. So this is how you can actually get a worldly order system that is top-down in its creation and exclusively top-down, and there's really no bottom-up influence. But it maintains that order because there's still rules and regulations that are, to some degree, potentially, being created by the world's citizens about what's most important. Now, it's an open question, and this is not a final debate on this. This is an opening debate on it. I've just come to this idea of a federated panarchy today, and I think there's a lot of work that could be done on fleshing this out. But here's the thing. What does it mean to have your most important world issues debated at the federated scale? Because remember, within the panarchy, within the federated panarchy, there's many different panarchic systems. And they all have their own unique ways of being in the world. And there ought to be honor for that. And the idea is to be fairly limiting on what kind of top-down influences there are. But here's the issue. Say one of these panarchic systems wants to burn some highly toxic chemical into the atmosphere. So this toxic chemical now is affecting everybody. And we don't want that. Their rules might allow for it. They might be some really strange anarchic system that doesn't have any rules, and they can do whatever they want, and they can burn those toxic chemicals. But these guys say, no, if we're going to live in a healthy ecosystem, we can't have people burning these toxic wastes around us, or else it will destroy everybody. And who wants that, right? So you need, in my opinion, I think, I might be wrong, but this is open to debate, some top-down influence that controls like crazy things like burning toxic chemicals into the atmosphere, destroying everybody's health. How those most important topics that are world, and I think that's the better way to put it, world cascading or potentially world affecting rules make the federated polling. That's a harder thing to debate, and I'm looking for answers from you guys in part to come up with ideas on how that might look, because it is really, to me, a nexus issue. I've solved maybe one issue, this balance between federated and panarchic, this order and freedom component. But it comes with a new nexus issue of this dual layer referendum, which I think is a solution in part, but it does have some stick points. Here's the thing: everybody does get a say on it, so it's bottom up on the topics that get addressed. And I think the World Council could, pitch them, and then we could even vote on whether or not we want to vote on them. Things like this could be open to the dual layer referendum. And to a degree that makes a certain amount of sense. You could have, these specialists in the Wisdom Council saying, okay, we need to address this world issue, right? This world issue needs to be talked about and dealt with. It's something hanging over the world stage right now. And then the individuals around the world, you could even maybe vote it out if you don't think it's useful. But on the whole, you vote on it, and then that gets implemented at the global scale. And somehow, we want these rules to be very minimal. In my opinion, the fewer rules on the whole makes doing things in the world a lot less cumbersome. The more regulations, the more paperwork you got to go through to start a business and this sort of thing. So you want to have pretty much the minimal viable required rules at the global scale to keep a system operational. But a few are useful. Again, things like certain chemicals burned at a massive scale is probably not a good idea, right? So it limits your freedom a little bit with these world scale federated votes, but my opinion is that some of them will be a necessary requirement for healthy living.